The ocean keeps secrets better than any vault. 3/4 of Earth's surface covered in water. Depths that crush human bodies like paper. Darkness so complete that sunlight becomes a memory. And somewhere in those depths, preserved by pressure and cold, lie structures that challenge everything we think we know about human history. Cities that sank beneath the waves thousands of years ago. Monuments built by civilizations that official archaeology claims never existed. Evidence carved in stone, resting on the ocean floor, waiting for someone brave enough to dive down and document what they find. In March 1986, Kiichiro Aratake, a local dive tour operator from Yonaguni Island, the westernmost point of Japan, was searching for new hammerhead shark diving spots in the waters off the southern coast. The area was known for strong currents and challenging conditions, popular among advanced divers seeking dramatic underwater experiences. Aratake descended to approximately 25 meters depth, following the edge of a submerged cliff face. What he saw shouldn't exist: massive stone terraces, perfectly flat platforms extending dozens of meters, carved staircases rising at uniform angles, right-angled corners so sharp and precise they looked machine-cut, massive stone blocks arranged in geometric patterns that seemed deliberate, intentional, impossible for natural geological processes to create. Aratake surfaced, told his colleagues what he'd found, and within weeks, the Yonaguni Monument, as it came to be called, became one of the most controversial underwater discoveries in archaeological history. Put your phone on silent. Lock your door. Because what lies beneath the waves off Japan might rewrite everything we know about ancient civilizations. The Yonaguni Monument covers an area of approximately 150 meters by 40 meters by 40 meters. The main structure rises about 27 meters from the ocean floor, with the top surface resting at roughly 5 meters below current sea level. The formation includes features that marine geologists struggle to explain. A massive platform with perfectly flat surfaces, 2 parallel monoliths standing approximately 7 meters tall, a formation that resembles a stepped pyramid with 5 distinct layers, and most striking, a series of staircases carved at precise right angles. Each step measuring roughly 90 centimeters wide and 20 centimeters tall, with uniform spacing that would be remarkable in any human-made structure, let alone one resting on the ocean floor. Dr. Masaaki Kimura, a marine geologist from the University of the Ryukyus in Okinawa, began studying the site in 1992. Over the next 2 decades, he conducted more than 100 dives to the monument, documenting its features with underwater photography, sonar mapping, and geological sampling. His conclusion, published in academic papers and presented at international conferences, was unequivocal. The Yonaguni Monument is not a natural formation. It's a man-made structure, carved from the bedrock by an ancient civilization at least 10,000 years ago, when the area was still above sea level. The mainstream geological community disagrees violently. Professor Robert Schoch, a geologist from Boston University, visited the site in 1997. His assessment, based on the rock's natural bedding planes and joint systems, was that the Yonaguni Monument is fundamentally a natural formation, possibly modified by human hands, but primarily the result of tectonic activity and marine erosion. The perfectly straight edges, he argued, result from the way sandstone fractures along natural stress lines. The right angles occur where perpendicular joint sets intersect. The terraces and platforms are simply the exposed surfaces of horizontal bedding planes. Dr. Kimura's response was direct and technical. He documented tool marks on several surfaces, grooves and striations that don't align with natural fracture patterns. He identified what appeared to be quarried blocks, stones that were separated from the bedrock, and moved to different locations within the structure. He found a massive stone column, roughly 7 meters tall, and 2 meters in diameter, lying on its side near the main terrace end. The column's base shows a circular cutting pattern, evidence, Dr. Kimura argues, of deliberate quarrying using techniques similar to those employed in other ancient stone structures worldwide. Most compelling, he documented a network of channels and holes carved into various parts of the monument. These features ranging from 10 to 50 centimeters in diameter are positioned at strategic points across the structure, oriented in ways that suggest functional purpose rather than random geological formation. Some appear to be anchor points, places where ropes or wooden supports might have been secured during construction. Others resemble drainage channels, designed to direct water flow in specific directions. Professor Schoch examined the same features and reached a different conclusion. The holes, he said, result from differential erosion, softer pockets of stone wearing away faster than surrounding material. The channels follow natural joint systems in the rock. The massive stone column is simply a section of bedrock that separated along a natural vertical fracture and toppled over. Every feature Dr. Kimura attributes to human construction, Professor Schoch explains through natural geological processes. So who's right? How do you determine whether an underwater stone structure is natural or artificial when both explanations can account for the visible evidence? Here's where things get interesting. In 1998, Dr. Kimura's research team discovered a second structure approximately 200 meters northeast of the main monument. This one includes a formation that looks remarkably like a carved stone turtle, complete with a distinct head, shell, and flippers, resting on a flat platform. The turtle measures roughly 5 meters long, with features so symmetrical and anatomically detailed that even skeptical geologists admitted it was difficult to explain through natural processes alone. Dr. Schoch visited the turtle formation. His assessment was that it's probably natural, but he acknowledged it represents a more difficult case than the main monument. The symmetry is striking. The anatomical details are suggestive, but without clear evidence of tool marks or construction techniques. The possibility remains that it's an unusually shaped, natural formation that humans later modified or incorporated into a sacred site. That's the pattern with the Yonaguni monument. Every piece of evidence has two interpretations. Every geological feature can be explained either as artificial or natural, depending on which framework you start from. And the debate between Dr. Kimura and Professor Schoch, conducted over decades through academic papers, conferences, and documentary appearances, never reached resolution. Both men are credible scientists with extensive geological expertise. Both have examined the same physical evidence. Both have reached completely opposite conclusions. What's undeniable, however, is the site's scale and complexity. Even if parts of the monument are natural formations, the arrangement of features suggests some level of human interaction. And if the structure is entirely man-made, it represents an engineering achievement of staggering proportions. Let's consider the timeline. The Yonaguni monument currently sits beneath 5 to 25 meters of water. Sea levels have risen approximately 120 meters since the end of the last ice age, around 12,000 years ago. For the monument to have been constructed on dry land, as Dr. Kimura argues, it would need to date back to a period when sea levels were significantly lower. Geological data shows that the Yonaguni area was last above water approximately 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. This places the theoretical construction date in the late Pleistocene, a period when mainstream archaeology describes Japan as inhabited by hunter-gatherer groups, with no evidence of monumental stone architecture. If Dr. Kimura is correct, it means a sophisticated civilization capable of precise stone working, massive quarrying operations, and geometric architectural design existed in the Ryukyu Islands thousands of years before recorded history acknowledges any advanced culture in the region. It means rewriting significant portions of the human timeline, acknowledging that megalithic construction technology developed earlier and in different locations than current models suggest. That's a claim that requires extraordinary evidence, and that's where the controversy intensifies. In 2001, Dr. Kimura announced the discovery of carved symbols on one of the monument's stone surfaces. The symbols, he said, resembled ancient Japanese characters, possibly related to early forms of Okinawan or Ryukyuan script. He published photographs showing what appeared to be geometric patterns and linear marks arranged in deliberate sequences. If authentic, these symbols would provide direct evidence of human interaction with the structure. Linguistic experts examined the photographs. The consensus was less definitive than Dr. Kimura hoped. Some scholars saw possible similarities to later Japanese characters. but no one could confirm they were intentional carvings rather than natural patterns, marine growth, or erosion marks enhanced by lighting and camera angles. The symbols, like everything else about Yonaguni, remained ambiguous, suggestive but not conclusive, intriguing but not proof. Professor Schoch pointed out a fundamental problem with interpreting underwater features. Marine environments aggressively erode and modify stone surfaces. Biological growth encrusts everything. Water movement creates patterns of abrasion that can mimic tool marks. Sediment accumulation obscures original surfaces. Without clear, unambiguous evidence like inscriptions, pottery fragments, or metal tools found in direct association with the structure, distinguishing between natural and artificial features becomes extremely difficult. Dr. Kimura responded by expanding his research area. Between 2002 and 2007, his team identified at least 5 additional underwater structures in the waters around Yonaguni and neighboring islands. Some featured similar terrace platforms and right-angled formations. Others included massive stone circles and what appeared to be carved animal figures. The pattern, Dr. Kimura argued, suggested not a single isolated anomaly, but an entire network of ancient monuments, now submerged. Evidence of a prehistoric culture that thrived in the region before rising sea levels inundated their settlements. The academic response was skeptical. Multiple structures don't necessarily mean human construction. Sandstone formations along fault lines can produce repeated geometric patterns across large areas. The Ryukyu Islands sit on active tectonic boundaries where geological processes create dramatic, sometimes symmetrical rock formations. The presence of several similar structures might simply reflect regional geology, not an ancient civilization. And here's why this matters. If the Yonaguni monument and similar structures are natural, they represent a fascinating geological curiosity. Evidence of how tectonic forces and marine erosion can create formations that mimic human architecture. Interesting for geologists, but not historically significant. If they're artificial, however, they're potentially the oldest megalithic structures ever discovered, evidence of advanced prehistoric civilization that existed thousands of years before Sumerian ziggurats, Egyptian pyramids, or Stonehenge. They would fundamentally challenge our understanding of when and where complex societies first developed. In 2013, Dr. Kimura's research funding from the University of the Ryukyus was significantly reduced. The official reason cited budget constraints and shifting research priorities. Dr. Kimura, in a 2014 interview with a Japanese science journal, suggested the decision was influenced by the controversy surrounding his work. Mainstream geologists, he said, viewed the Yonaguni research as pseudo-archaeology, a distraction from serious scientific inquiry. The university, facing pressure to maintain academic credibility, chose to distance itself from claims that challenged established historical narratives. Dr. Kimura retired from the university in 2015. He continues to dive at Yonaguni occasionally, self-funding his research, documenting new features, and advocating for official recognition of the site as an archaeological treasure rather than a geological curiosity. His website, updated sporadically, contains hundreds of photographs, measurements, and technical analyses accumulated over decades of research. Few academic institutions cite his work. Mainstream archaeology has largely moved on, treating Yonaguni as a settled question. Natural formation, case closed. But the structure remains, still there, 25 meters beneath the waves. Still featuring those perfectly flat terraces, those uniform staircases, those right-angled corners that look too precise to be accidental. And every year, divers visit the site, swim through the submerged corridors, touch the carved surfaces, and wonder how nature alone could have created something so deliberate, so geometric, so impossibly architecturally. You know what bothers me most about this controversy? It's not that experts disagree. Scientific debate is healthy. What bothers me is how quickly the mainstream narrative solidified. After Professor Schoch published his skeptical assessment, Most academic institutions treated the question as resolved. Yonaguni is natural. Anyone who claims otherwise is engaging in fringe speculation. The evidence that supports Dr. Kimura's interpretation, the tool marks, the quarried blocks, the carved symbols, gets dismissed as misinterpretation or wishful thinking. His decades of research, his extensive documentation, his geological expertise, all marginalized because his conclusions don't fit the accepted timeline. That's not how science is supposed to work. Science is supposed to follow evidence wherever it leads, even when it challenges established models. But when evidence threatens fundamental aspects of the historical narrative, academic institutions often prioritize protecting the paradigm over investigating anomalies. And so, Yonaguni remains in limbo. Officially classified as a natural formation, unofficially recognized as one of the most enigmatic underwater sites in the world, visited by thousands of divers annually, many of whom leave convinced they've seen the ruins of an ancient civilization, regardless of what mainstream geology claims. What if we applied rigorous archaeological methods to Yonaguni the same way we would to any other potentially significant site? What if we conducted systematic excavations, removing marine sediment to expose original surfaces? What if we employed advanced dating techniques on organic materials trapped within the structure? What if we treated Dr. Kimura's research as a serious hypothesis worth investigating rather than a fringe claim to be dismissed? Maybe we'd find definitive proof of human construction, pottery shards, tool fragments, organic materials suitable for radiocarbon dating. Or maybe we'd confirm Professor Schock's assessment that it's fundamentally naturally. Either outcome would be valuable. Either way, we'd have clarity. But that investigation hasn't happened, because acknowledging Yonaguni as potentially artificial opens too many uncomfortable questions. If humans were building monumental structures 10,000 years ago in Japan, what else don't we know about prehistoric technological development? How many other submerged sites might exist, unrecognized, beneath rising sea levels worldwide? How many civilizations might have flourished and vanished before recorded history begins, leaving behind only stone monuments now hidden beneath the ocean? Those questions don't have easy answers, and academic institutions prefer questions that do. So the Yonaguni monument waits, submerged, silent, carved with precision that defies simple geological explanation. A mystery preserved by salt water and pressure, accessible to anyone willing to dive 25 meters down and see for themselves what rests on the ocean floor. Some will surface convinced they've seen proof of a lost civilization. Others will see nothing but interesting rock formations shaped by tectonic forces and time. The structure doesn't change based on interpretation. It simply exists, massive and enigmatic, exactly where Kiichiro Aratake found it in 1986. And it's not going anywhere. The ocean preserves what the land erodes. Stone endures. And somewhere between Dr. Kimura's certainty and Professor Schock's skepticism lies a truth we haven't yet fully grasped. If you made it this far, thank you. Leave a like if this underwater mystery intrigued you. Tell us in the comments whether you think Yonaguni is natural or artificial, and subscribe to keep exploring the evidence that challenges official history. Because the ocean floor holds secrets, ancient stones carved with purpose, and the debate over what they mean is far from over. Some structures don't need answers. They just need patience. And divers brave enough to descend into the blue and document what they find.